Rotation is another kind of transformation, our third kind, and we talk about this one as a twist. It also creates congruent figures. It doesn't change the size or the shape. You're going to get a congruent figure being moved to a new location, just like a reflection or a translation. We talk about rotations having a center. That's why we're going to twist. We are going to twist and just swing or rotate around a fixed point. When we talk about rotations, we talk about going clockwise, the direction of a clock, or we talk about going counterclockwise. So it's important that you read the directions. One interesting point about how these rotations work is if I connect a pre-image point through the center of the rotation, which for us is always going to be 0, 0, out to its image point, it creates the degree of the rotation. So in this case, I am rotating clockwise 90 degrees. So you can always do a quick visual check on your rotations by checking to see if that angle between a pre-image and image point is what you say it would be. So there are rules for rotating our figures. And so if we are going to do a clockwise 90, which is the same as counterclockwise 270, you think about starting here, clockwise 90 is the same as going counterclockwise 270. So these do double up. Our transformation of our pre-image, our new point becomes y negative x. So we switch the x and the y, do the opposite sign on the x. Clockwise, no matter which direction I go clockwise or counterclockwise, 180, I'll end up in the same spot. About going 180 this way, 180 this way, I end up right here. The rule for that is I take my original and I transform that by doing the opposite sign on each coordinate. Same order, opposite sign. And then clockwise 270, if I start here and I go 270 degrees to here, or if I go counterclockwise 90, the same rule, I end up with the transformation of xy becomes t of opposite sign on y, x. So I've got to switch the order but do the opposite sign on y. So let's just look at a couple of color-coded examples here. We won't go through all of them. But if I want to take this point right here and I want to rotate it clockwise 90, I want to swing this 90 degrees this direction, I would have 2, 5 will become, flip the y to the front and do the opposite sign. So it's going to become 5, negative 2. And so you can see that if I connect the dots here, that is a 90-degree angle. Now if I take that same point and I run it to 5, where does it become after a clockwise or counterclockwise? It says do the opposite sign, leave them in the same order. So negative 2, negative 5. And if I connected that, you've got 180 degrees either direction. Let's take the last point, 2, 5. Let's rotate it counterclockwise 90, clockwise 270. It says take my x and my y, put my y first with the opposite sign, same sign on the x. So minus 5, 2. And now you can see if we came in here and we drew that angle, I would have a 90-degree angle counterclockwise or 270 clockwise. So just you have some sort of a visual guesstimate where you should end up after you run these rules. So let's look at a couple of examples. So rotate it clockwise 90. So our rule for clockwise 90, and as I'm guessing you can see, these are going to be things you're going to want on a cheat sheet, says do flip the order, y and x, and do the opposite sign in the x. So the easiest way, so m is at -5, 0, t is at -2, -2, n is at -3, -4. So m prime, switch the order, so my 0 will come first, opposite sign makes it 5. N, switch the order, opposite sign. T, switch the order, opposite sign. So when I go to graph this at 0, 5, -4, +3, and -2, +2, you can see how that figure from here to here goes clockwise 90 degrees and stays the exact same shape. And every one of these points from N to N is 90, from M to M is 90. They're all 90 and they're all moving clockwise. Our last example is a counterclockwise 180. So my rule says just do the opposite signs. And notice how I'm always saying opposite sign, not negative. If it is negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. So just train yourself to think opposite sign. So when I look at these signs, -4, 0, that's going to become 4, 0 because 0 doesn't have a sign. J is at -5, -2. That's going to become 5, 2. K is at -3, -3. K prime will become 3, 3. P prime is -1, -2. So P prime will be 1, 2. And you go into graph it for 0. You can already see that that is 180 degrees. At 5, 2 is J prime. 3, 3 is K prime. And 1, 2 is P prime. And that figure got rotated. Every one of these is 180 degrees through the origin. So that covers our first 3 kinds of transformations. Good luck on your homework.